Parents, if you're watching this, business people that are watching this, and your kids are killing you, do this, sign them up. This is a win-win. This is a win. Look, for kids that are athletes that are bored, they get to do something. For the parents of the kids that are pulling their hair out, you now have something for them to do for an entire week, and you can get some work done. We are attempting to do this on Zoom, stream to Facebook Live. So this is the first time. So it says it's live on Facebook. Here we are. Of course, I'm the host, Brandon Gaston, Brand Talk Live. I am here with my friend, colleague, Dr. Bethany Tennant. I will let you introduce yourself. I gotta add a little couple, tips and tidbits about you.
Okay.
That I know.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So besides the fact that you are a naturopathic physician, you have your summit coming up. But what most people might not know is that you're a hooper too. Hooper.
Occasionally come out
from New York, you know what I mean? So my East Coast people, I got my New York. You might be my first. No, I had Astor. Astor's from New York too. So now my second New York guest. But you are a certified official hand model. Yes. Well, my first hand model, it's funny, I have a friend of mine, Janelle James, she always tells me, I don't think I can do it. I don't see it. Says I could be a hand model. I'm like, no, I know a legitimate hand model. And then she is also a doctor. So how you doing?
I'm so good. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to connect with you.
Yeah, no, this is fun. This is fun. It's cool because I've known you for a couple of years, and that's the great thing. And usually when I do this, I find out other things. But what I appreciate about you so much is people think of doctors, and I kind of like grouped you: doctors, dentists, attorneys, finance, that professional industry, and they think that you guys can't brand, or they're kind of afraid to branding, or it's not as accepted in your industry. And you've always been someone that have been all about collaboration, all about branding, all about, getting yourself out there. So let's start right there. Like, how did you create that mindset and the understanding like, hey, I'm not going to be pigeonholed by my industry. I'm still going to brand myself.
Yeah, no, I think that's so important. I think a lot of professionals think, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to get some sort of degree or certification, and I'm going to open shop. So as soon as I say I'm open, just people are going to come to the door. They're just going to be coming to see me. And even as a physician, you have to market. People have to understand. You have to kind of let people know that you're who you are, what you do, and how you can help them. And I think that's really important for people that are in industries that they just sort of feel like are kind of a cookie cutter. Like, I'm just going to show up at a clinic and I'm going to have patients. You have to build a practice. You have to build patience. And one way of doing that is really connecting with your community. And so I love collaborations, and that's been a really fun way for me to get to know the community, to get to know other professionals, and then for them to know, I'm on their radar a little bit, to know, oh, I know a doctor, or she loves nutrition, or she works within sports, works with athletes. So it's really important to do that.
Yeah, no, totally. And like I said, and I think oops, that's my fault. I've been jumping back and forth between the Facebook and here. So excuse me for that. And then I can hear them. I can hear it in the background.
We're good.
Hold on, let me do this. Let me not watch my own live, because that is difficult. But but to your point, like I said, I think collaboration is key. And besides the fact, it's just not only are you able to get you out there, but you really are tapping into everyone else's audience, right? And I feel like for me, when you think of marketing and branding, you need to kind of center yourself as the connector to everybody.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So for me, that's super important. So talk to us about before you got started, because you've been in the industry for a little bit. We met probably a few years ago. Yeah. Talk to us about that background between, you deciding you're going to do this, and then you're really creating a unique niche as far as how you're doing it, because you're not like everyone else. You do a lot of speaking. So talk about that in your arena.
Yeah, there's a huge story behind all of it. So I guess I'll share a little bit of my background to give it context to why I love what I get to do now, I would say none of many people are familiar with naturopathic medicine to begin with. And so I think I'll even start with that. So I'm trained as a primary care provider. So I'm like a family doctor, but I have more tools in my toolbox. So I can prescribe pharmaceuticals. I'm trained in minor surgery, but other tools that I use are nutrition, botanical medicine, physical medicine. So if you've seen a chiropractor, if you've ever had physical therapy like ultrasound, all these sort of things that are also part of functional medicine or prevention medicine and lifestyle medicine. So that's a little bit of kind of what I do professionally. And I'm also a certified nutrition specialist. So that's just to say that's my favorite tool to use. But I would say growing up, I was always really interested in health, wellness, and medicine. My grandma was sort of our family doctor. She always had just like home remedies and things you could like put on that sunburn or foods to eat.
I've never had that. I've never got burnt. I don't know. I know we can, but I haven't ever, knock on wood, yet I've never got burned. But keep going.
That's good. So she sort of created the curiosity and interest around how you can use what food as medicine, understanding different, but she was the first person I knew that was taking supplements and vitamins, and sort of invited me to explore that curiosity. And then I would say as a high school senior, I had the opportunity to spend half of my senior year, my day was spent at a hospital. It was a program that was provided, and that gave me exposure to like explore other things I was interested in. And then I studied as a pre-med student. I ended up doing the Peace Corps. All these things sort of informed and sort of honed my interest. I was curious about like nutrition, public health, and all along I was an athlete. So I did sports all throughout. Ended up playing collegiate basketball and 1 year of soccer, actually.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was a walk-on for soccer.
Okay. See, I always learn something new.
And I had heard about naturopathic medicine as a philosophy. It you treat the whole person, you get to the root cause, and all these things really resonated with me. Yeah. So finally, after exploring, learning about it, and kind of, it was something that I was really excited about since I was a senior in high school during that hospital program. That's actually when I first heard about naturopathic medicine. And I kept this folder of information. I kept it when I went to the Peace Corps. I went to massage therapy school. And finally I was like, you know what, I have to do this.
Yeah.
So I moved to Portland to attend the naturopathic medical school out here.
Yeah.
And while I was in school, you're pretty isolated being a full-time student. You're nerding out.
Well, I never went to school, but I mean, I've heard stories.
Yeah, it's consuming. And in my second year, I decided to start exploring some of like what the city of Portland, and I started working as a massage therapist.
And give us a timeline. When is this? When are you? Because I had an ex that was going to go think about being a naturopathic doctor. But what year is this when you're at school here in Portland?
This is 2011. I moved out.
Okay. And had you been in Portland before?
No.
Did you think you'd still be here 9 years later?
No.
Okay. It kind of sucks you in.
I was living in Ithaca, New York, and at the time I had launched a massage and wellness practice. Yeah. I was working at a YMCA as a sports coordinator. I was plugged into Cornell. I loved Ithaca. And my plan was, all right, I'm going to go to medical school. I'm going to come back. I have community here. And I love the Pacific Northwest, and it's we've talked about this too. Portland is an interesting city. It's like a large town. There's
definitely a town.
It's a lot of overlap with people that you meet, that you find at different events and different industries, and this is can be a good thing. So that's to say, so as a second year medical student, I started working at a fitness facility gym, and I also started kind of doing indoor soccer and playing rec basketball and finding sport community, which started plugging me into getting to know people here in those industries.
And I want to ask you about that, because I know you, like I said, you're a hooper. You played hooping basketball. I just found out you played soccer too, and you have a niche within that the fact that you really target athletes. Was that something that you had already thought you were going to do, or is it because we went to Portland and started playing these sports intramurals and whatnot, you're like, okay, this is where I want to focus my practice?
I think it really developed because I came out thinking, okay, I'm going to be a doctor. Let's see what this looks like. And I think So two things I want to share with like the audience. One, that story of, the naturopathic medicine that I had heard about as a senior in high school, and it just kept coming up as something I was excited about.
Yeah.
I'd say pay attention to those things that get you excited, that, in
Yeah.
your spare time that you're reading up on or listening to a podcast or that like bring you to life. I would say, I think sometimes it's so familiar to you. You think that everyone has that interest.
No, that's
You don't
a great
realize-
point.
Yeah,
That's
you
a
don't
great point
realize-
because I think sometimes we are kind of blinded by our talents and our passions, right?
Yeah.
I feel like certain things I know that innately is in me or just comes natural. I just then assume that everyone else is the same way. Yeah. And it's like I had to realize from other people, and not trying to be humble, like other people, like even on camera, like I was like, okay, that's just,
totally.
I wasn't always good, but I got comfortable. And they're like, no. And I'm like, why just assume everyone else was like that? And then not realizing that, no, that is a gift and you need to lean into that a little bit more.
Absolutely. I was just thinking about that exact thing for you. Like you come to life when you're on camera and I'm like, this for me this is me growing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doing lives it's not something that I'm like, oh, I'm really great at it. It's a challenge, but you step into it.
You know what's interesting about that though? Because I just want to say, so you come from sports. I'm imagining you're competitive. I'm actually an extremely competitive individual. Extremely. If you haven't heard any of the petty things I say on Instagram every once in a while, I admit it. But part of the reason, that was one of the reasons. It was a combination of realizing, okay, I have a unique talent. And I am now, I wasn't always, but I'm now very comfortable. And I've translated well on camera, even when I was uncomfortable. Now I'm, comfortable doing it. But realizing, to your point, and this kind of goes into marketing as well, right? The greatest opportunities are the spaces where no one's actually in, right? Yeah. You want to be able to dominate a space. You want to be able to take over a space. And it's easier to do that when it's not being occupied. So I line that with me and being on video. I realize I am fine on camera. Like, give me a camera, give me a phone. I now light up. I'm ready to go. I can talk. I don't need to be scripted because I've done live TV. Let me lean into that more because other people are so uncomfortable. That then becomes a differentiator for me in the marketplace. Besides the fact that it just keeps me top of mind. Like, whether you like me or not, you're going to see my face eventually, especially going back, like I said, we're in Portland, so it's such a small town anyway. You're going to have to see me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's great. So I think that's my encouragement for the audience is pay attention to those things that you get excited about, whether it's like gardening or I love organizing. You might be someone's like lifesaver as a consultant because they don't know how to organize their kitchen or whatever it is, So going back to sort of how did I lean into the sport? So I would say, honestly, it took a little bit of time. I actually was thinking, I listened to a podcast, it was a TED Talk. It was actually Wex from Adidas.
Okay.
I feel like that was one thing that gave me, he was talking about how he loved music and how he started just kind of being able to bridge those two things he was passionate about. Yeah. And I think that was one of many conversations and experiences that I had that kind of gave me permission to like love sports still, to love working with athletes, to be connected to that world and not separate it as much. And so in collaborations and making relationships, people started asking, like I'm a trainer, I'm a coach, and opportunities started to present themselves for me to use what I was learning in school as a naturopathic doctor to apply it to sport. Yeah. And so now it's like my favorite thing because I'm merging these two things that I absolutely love in a way that a lot of people aren't, to your point. So I would say opportunities create opportunities. So I said yes to things when I wasn't,
ready.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's no such thing as being ready. Let's be clear. Like everyone thinks like, okay, I'm going to wait till it's perfect. I'm going to wait till it's ideal. I'm going to wait till the stars align. Like you'll be waiting forever. Like the stars never align. Ever.
Totally. And I think it's interesting because I didn't pursue, I want to be a public speaker or I want to speak to teams. That was never on my goal list. Yeah. But I started getting invitations to do that. I would say the first opportunity was like a kids camp. There's like 10 kids there. They're, 5th through 10th graders. And I was like nauseous. I was so nervous. I was like, I'm not going to. And then, but it started creating, and then, hey, can you speak at this college exposure showcase event? And because it was a college exposure showcase event, there were college coaches there. Yeah. And then it turned into a college coach. Hey, can you talk to my team? And then it turned into, hey, can you take my team on a grocery tour? And then it turned into, hey, can you talk to all of our student athletes at the college? And then it turned into, as I started showcasing me doing those things, I know you're all about like content is king.
Oh man, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I would say content is king, collaboration is queen. That's like how I work.
There you go. Well, I should post the other day. I literally, and okay, so I don't know if you realize, so there used to be a show. I shouldn't be giving away all my shit, but I have one of those ideas where I'm just going to talk about it. I don't think everyone's going to do it anyway. And I feel like your uniqueness is your gift, and so I'm going to do it differently than someone else. So there used to be a show called King of Cars. Do you remember that? It was on like A&E. It was this guy. His name was Chop in Vegas, and he had a car show, and they turned into a reality show.
I vaguely remember this. Okay.
Yeah, so this might date me, but this is a show. So, I have tons of ideas. So I'm literally thinking one day, and I wrote a post similar along the lines like King of Content, right? And so I literally had a post the other day that was a King of Content, but then I actually put it in my newsletter, King or Queen, because, it could be either. I want to be PC. But I was thinking about myself, but it literally for everyone else is King or Queen of Content. But yeah, content is Queen, King, however you want to put it.
There you go. And I would say it just started creating more opportunities. So someone that owned, hey, can you talk to my CrossFit group? It turned into, hey, it looks like you do this kind of work. Can you talk to, this women's group? It turned into, a junior All-American basketball camp. It turned into one of my favorite things. And I would say that's the thing, like, being open to pivot and adapt to, opportunities. And I think you also do that really well. I've seen you at all kinds of different events and workshops and events that you've hosted. And I feel like you really are able to kind of pivot with your audience, with whether it's, a gala or you have a really great gift of being like dynamic in that way.
Thank you. I love getting compliments. I need to do more. This is why I brought on a guest. And so I can have you guys build me up and give me confidence and help me, pretend to be as confident as I am. I want to talk about, because you have taken something that you said was maybe not a strength, but something, or it's definitely something you weren't expecting to do. And now you've done like the NBA Cares, you've spoken to all that. Talk about how being a public speaker has broadened your horizon. Because again, when someone thinks they're going to be a doctor or naturopathic doctor, they probably going to think, okay, I'm going to be a speaker, right? I'm going to speak at sports conferences. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to create this lane. Yeah. And I literally said, like, on my IG yesterday, like, create your own lane. And I feel like that's something that you do very, very well. So talk about how that has transitioned and transformed your business, your main business, but also how it's expanded it into doing other things.
Yeah, so I think the speaking, it became something that, I wasn't excited about. I was very afraid of. And I would say it really takes, I had encouragement from a lot of people. I would say also, find a tribe of people that can hype you up. I joke about, like I have a group text before anything that I feel like, okay, this is like a new ceiling for me. And you need that. You need those people that are like going to help support you through that. And it became something where I got excited about. I still feel like, I'm still becoming better at it, but it was the realization that it's an opportunity for impact. When I'm working with a patient, it's one-on-one. When I talk to a whole college, I'm talking to, or hundreds of people. It's an opportunity to make an impact in a shorter amount of time. And that is what excites me. Yeah.
I can relate so much to that. Yeah. I know, like for me, I'm transitioning out of styling now anyway, but I love being in, and it's not to sound like whatever, but I love when I have my clients in a dressing room and they put on something, right? And I can tell immediately based upon their body language, that's my job, is how their body transforms, how they stand a little bit taller, how they hold themselves in the mirror. Like that feeling, that would give me so much gratification. Mm-hmm. However, scalability and impact-wise, it was a one-on-one. Whereas if I'm speaking in a college, if I'm speaking in a conference, if I'm doing a live that I now can record an audio message with the doctor, and then I could put on all my different platforms, like that has the ability to reach so many more people. And like you, that's what gives me energy.
Yeah. I think that's exciting. And speaking about some of the other things that I would say, initially I was doing like all the things, and it created, I was speaking to third graders, I was working with NBA players. When I work with professional athletes, it often means bringing in a chef And so that was also like a new way to collaborate. And those, again, opportunities create opportunities. So a trainer might reach out.
Oh, wait, hold on real quick. See, this is how business happens, right? So I want to stop right now because I literally just had a conversation with someone the other day about doing a concierge type thing for some players. I'm not going to name any names. Uh-huh. And one of the aspects we talked about, 'cause I know some chefs, was the actual the food preparation side of it, not like the health benefits from the food.
Yeah.
Now that I have you on my live, I need to make that connection because you would be a great value add as far as the type of foods that they should have for a nutrition perspective. So this is why you have conversations. This is why you network. This is why you meet with people. This is a real life. I literally had this meeting like maybe last week, and now this could happen. So I had to do it right now. So keep going.
Awesome. And so, and I just encouraging people to like explore those opportunities that present, you know, in working with some of the chefs, then that's created opportunities where they refer, hey, I'm, you know, a chef on the East Coast and I'm looking at I'm trying to bring a product to market. So I've done consulting and nutrition labels for products that they're bringing to market. And so it's gone all over the place. One of the most exciting opportunities I had was someone reached out to me to say, hey, you know, my dad is not feeling well. This is what's going on. Can you come to our house? Like, they're in LA. Can you just come to the house?
I remember this.
I'm in Portland.
Yeah.
We'll fly you down. Can you meet with him? He really needs help in this kind of ways. And it was like, yeah, say yes to the opportunity. I prepared as best I could. And it turned into what I identify as a house call overhaul. And it was one of the most amazing experiences I had. We did an intake, we did a grocery tour, we had a lunch together, the family was a part of it. By the end of it, we were like hugging goodbye and and it made a really significant impact on their health because I was in their world and I was able to make like very practical change. Like, I'm going through the cupboard and like, you know, this is why it's not going to be good for you. And this is an option. And I'm in your grocery store. There's some things to be considering in ways that can be helpful. So that's to say, I think I did a lot of things for several years and just kind of figuring it out. And where I'm at now is really cleaning up the services I provide. And so when I work on one-on-one, it's, you know, you can see me at my clinic, or I can do consulting. I can do work with a private chef if that's the scale of it. And then when I'm working with groups, I can do a workshop. It can be a presentation, or, you know, maybe even it's like a consulting service. So sometimes I'm providing content for programs or colleges, or like even mention, like I've been able to collaborate with WNBA Fit and NBA Fit, or as part of NBA Cares.
Yeah.
We have a month that's dedicated to health and wellness. And so contributing in those ways. So it's kind of like spun into a lot of really great things. And now I'm cleaning up what are the services and what does that look like. Yeah. And I say it's still in the process of really cleaning up and identifying that. So
how has because it's affected everyone. I think one of the benefits you have is you have such a wide array of options and services already, right? We've talked about this numerous times. Like, you have a wide assortment of different price points and different packages. How has COVID affected you and your business, good or bad? Because there obviously are opportunities. I feel like people that have a larger range of product offerings at different price points, you then can bring people in a lot of different ways. And so what changes have you made particularly since this pandemic started?
That's a really good question. I would say what's interesting is, so I'm an outpatient clinic, and so I haven't been dealing with the pandemic in a way that hospitals have. Yeah. And it's actually a lot of other private clinics is actually, you know, there's more and more articles I'm reading as far as like across the board, like private clinics are kind of hurting almost because they've either had to close or patients aren't coming in to be seen to check, you know, to manage their blood pressure, maybe if it's, you know, it's not urgent for them in that moment. So our clinic actually, it physically was, you know, shut down. So we pivoted into doing telemedicine, and initially that was kind of slow. We're picking back up, but that created for me an opportunity to really double down on my own business and invest and take ownership of that. And so that also leads to the summit, which maybe we'll talk about.
Oh no, this is the perfect pivot. This is,
okay, great.
This is my alley-oop. I wanted you to,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no. See, we're moving. No, but talk about that, because I would say, chaos brings opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times in a good market, we get comfortable, we get stagnant, we might get a little lazy, and I think that's natural because things are in abundance, right? But I feel like certain things, when we have a reset, it allows us to reevaluate and see areas that we need to focus on or pivot or expand, that long term can be a benefit. And so like you were saying, you focus on your private practice, and now you have this amazing, make sure I say it right, Natural Sports Medicine Summit that's coming up in about a week and a half, about 10 days from now, right? The 27th to the 31st. So talk about that. Talk about how you pulled it together. Has this been an idea that you've had in the background for a while, and now you're like, it's time to go? Like, give me the lowdown.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot to speak to on that. And I would say it's also, so I guess I'll jump into the summit because I'm so excited about it. It has been an idea for a couple of years now. I would say 2 years ago, I was invited. There was my friend hosted, it's called The Exclusive. It's this basketball tournament for high school. It's boys right now, is going to be growing, but it was an opportunity to create a performance panel. And so I was able to find people to host kind of a breakout session in between games. And I loved it. And I was like, this is so much fun. I'm learning from them. I think this is such a value add to these athletes, because this is the thing. Not everyone's going to make it to the NBA. Not everyone's become a professional athlete. Yeah. But a lot of information that I share is helping them to be healthy adults forever.
Exactly.
So I love that opportunity to really connect with them, and as a third grader, understanding, eating.
And I was just gonna say, you get them when they're young, right? When they're still impressionable in a good way. They're still open to the idea, and they're still creating and building those habits that they, like you said, that can carry them on for the rest of their life.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I would say that so it became an idea for so Natural Sports Medicine is my brand, and I thought I'd love this idea of creating, a panel together. And this time, just because of the craziness, there's a lot of virtual opportunities. And so I decided I'm going to go for it.
Yeah. As we are.
So there's a couple of reasons why it made sense. One, kids do not have opportunities this summer.
Yeah.
Camps are canceled, tournaments are canceled, practices are canceled. My own nephews are on the East Coast, basketball, baseball, cycling. It's disappointing. I feel for them. So it's one, the opportunities for kids aren't there. Yeah. Secondly, I was supposed to speak. I had California, I was supposed to be in Arizona. My own speaking opportunities were canceled.
Yeah.
So I thought this is a really cool opportunity to provide opportunities on both sides. And then also, in working with professional athletes, you realize that at the highest level, they have such an amazing team of resources. It's a nutritionist, it's a chiropractor, it's a physical therapist, it's a sports psychologist, it's everything.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring some of that to student athletes to be able to get better this summer. Yeah. So it's outside of your skills and drills. It's things that you can incorporate to optimize performance and recovery. So I reached out, and so it's a really comprehensive program. It's going to be basically it's a sports summer mini camp.
Okay.
And we're going to do a mobility session. There's yoga for athletes. There's sports psychology. There's injury prevention. There's change of direction and speed agility work, recovery, and so all these different experts. Some of them work with NFL players. Some of them work with NBA players.
Yeah, your lineup is pretty stocked. You have a pretty well-to-do, known lineup of people. And how many people do you have? Because it's every day, right? It's every single day. How many people do you have that are facilitating these different practices?
Yeah, great question. So there's 10 speakers.
Okay.
5 days. There's 3 speakers each day. So it's 30-minute sessions, because I know it's hard to stay engaged on Zoom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a doctor out of Nova Scotia.
Okay.
There's yoga instructor Taryn is in Boston. Sports psychologist in North Carolina. Dr. Ju Hearn is in Chicago, Phoenix, California. So it's a cool way to bring all these people together that would be hard to facilitate otherwise.
Yeah.
And I'm also incorporating a recipe of the day. So since that's
Okay.
like one of the things that I love, I've reached out to some of the private chefs that I know that work with athletes. Some are even celebrity chef. There's actually, the US team has a culinary Olympics, which I
Okay.
didn't realize.
Okay.
And Chef Mora participated in the Olympics, and he also worked with the Lakers for 10 years. So pulling people to provide a recipe, I think it's just a value add. And we're doing raffle prizes, and so workbooks, meal plans, consultations. It's so yeah, that's
It's heavy hitters. I want to talk about what you mentioned, and I'm always one, like, I'm a realist, but at the same time, like, I'm super optimistic, right?
yeah,
Um, the opportunity that you've been presented, right? Because like you just touched on, like, this wouldn't have happened. You now are able to reach and expand people that you wouldn't necessarily be able to bring in potentially because it's their schedules or they were doing other things just as you
totally.
were. And I would imagine that this is going to be something that you can do more than once. Like, have you already kind of like had plans on how this can be duplicated in other cities more times, how you can mix in person and, virtual? Because
Yeah.
I feel like that's the reality, but there is opportunity, and it's definitely changed how events are going to be going to go on moving forward.
It's interesting because I just kind of wanted to see like a proof of concept.
Yeah.
So it is, and I will say it's inviting. It's 5th through 12th graders. It's
Okay.
going to be, if you're an athlete, you're going to get a lot out of it. If you're curious about being an athlete, if you're a kid that just needs some activity and to be active and
You're bored at home.
something, if
You
you're on
might
the
find that
street,
you have a passion.
it's for you. We're also, I'm bringing in a motivational speaker, and he's also going to be talking about, the social.
You didn't ask me yet. You didn't ask me. You want me to speak? Let me check my calendar.
Next time.
I'll see. I know. I'm joking.
And he's also going to be speaking on how to be a positive change agent. So I love that, bringing that.
Yeah.
Also having integrity off the field and court. So, building character. So it's a really robust program. I would say I've already had people say, hey, next time, like, hey, keep me in mind. I'd love to be a part of this, which is exciting. And so, you've done a lot of events too, and it's interesting to market events and to get first awareness, then interest, and then invested in being there, and I'm going to show up to it. And so I think you've done a lot of that with your suit and sip, with your
Drip Saturdays. I've had my mask party. I think people they don't understand the amount of work that it takes to get people in seats.
Yeah.
Like, to get someone there's the actual, and actually, let me talk about 3 parts of this, because a lot of times when I even get hired with clients, like, their main focus is how do we promote an event, right? How do we get people in the seats, which is extremely important. But that's like the first step. But then I think also they're unaware of the reality of people that say they're going to go versus people that actually show up, especially in person. But I think then there's the other aspect of, okay, from a business long-term perspective, getting them there is just the first part. And I always say, like, the first event is really the setup for the third event, because you want to get them there. You want to then market and showcase people that weren't able to show up, that are a little flaky, maybe, whatever. And you want to give them a reason to come to the second and the third one. So I put as much onus on marketing the event, and then the post-marketing of the event itself. I mean? Even like I did a webinar, and I was like, I want to get some people, I got that many people there, but it's like, okay, literally yesterday, and these are just tangible things that I do and people can take and whatever. I'm like, how did it go? Right? I recap the event, recap the webinar. What are things I want to improve upon? But how do I market this to maximize, the exposure for people that actually came, to give them more of a value add, but also going forward, like, how do I get clips from the event? How do I take captions? A little before we got on this call today, I was actually making slideshows of my presentation to market the presentation and the upcoming presentations. And so I think it's just a constant, you know what I mean? But it definitely is a grind. And it's like, you've already set up the foundation. Like, you might as well do the extra 20% and finish it off.
Yeah, that's really good. And I would say it's interesting too, because I think a lot of people, and again, if anyone is in like health or other professions, like we had a couple of business classes, but it's such a big part of what you're going to do. And I'm still learning copyright and story branding and all the different marketing techniques. And there's so many, like, in the technology behind things of,
and it constantly changes.
Yeah. And I think you really have to take ownership and
Yeah.
learn things or hire people. And I'm still on that journey myself. But no, I think that's really smart to like how to sort of pivot from an event. And, you know, a lot of people think it's a great idea. One thing I'll say, I mean, even then learning about marketing this particular event, Natural Sports Medicine Summit, I'm learning sounds pretty serious. Like people think, oh, is this a continuing education? Is this, you know, is this like, am I sending, it doesn't sound like it's for kids. And so I'm starting to explain more. This is like a mini camp, you know?
There's so much power in words.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's so much power, and that's obviously a part of the branding. There's so much power in vernacular, how you're saying it, how you're presenting it. Besides all the excess, but just literally the verbiage.
Yeah.
Right? Is how do you connect, and how do you say it in a way that connects with your audience? And then in your case, we were talking about students, the Gen Zs, you need to connect with them, and then so they can then tell their parents to pay for it, right?
Right. So I was going to say, that's also been an interesting marketing because the audience is kids.
Yeah.
The consumer is the parent. And so kind of dancing between the two of engaging kids to think it might be a cool thing to be a part of, or having parents understand the value add.
Yeah.
And so it's been, it's.
What has been the number one takeaway that you found in that time since you now, because again, I was listening to this stuff all the time. Gen Z really, besides their individual buying power with the money they have, whether it's allowance, whatever, but also the influence they have for buying, right? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times they're making the decisions. They're a lot more tuned and aware of what's going on, being, you know, eating a certain way, thinking a certain way. So what have you learned dealing with that audience? Maybe for the first time from a marketing direct to, you know, process. What have you learned for this event?
I'm learning a lot still. Like I I would say.
Did you do any TikToks? Did you do any TikToks for the event?
Yesterday. I started doing a TikTok yesterday. I've played a little bit with TikTok, but that's where
especially for the audience. You definitely should be there, because I mean, you have everything you need, right? I mean, it's sports nutrition, but you have sports. You can do the basketball. You can do the music. You can do the dance. You know what I mean? You know how they do the you know. Anyway, you know, they can do all that. So you should definitely do that.
I will say too, I think, you know, what I'm trying to, you know, they are professionals, but it's for the kids. And I think I'm really excited because they are professionals that have worked with NBA players, NFL players. And we're actually hoping to have an NFL guest as part of like a demo for one of the sessions. And so I'm just kind of like, man, when would you ever have the opportunity to work out with an NFL trainer, with an NFL athlete in the privacy of like your own home, in the comfort of, you know, there's no judgment, no pressure, but just to have that kind of invitation and for
a really, really affordable economic price point. I know we haven't talked about that, but the price for what they're getting, talk about just where they can find it to sign up. You know, I'll put it into my stuff, but just the price point. And you've talked about everything they get, but it's super inexpensive.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find it's an Eventbrite, and it will be on a Zoom platform though. So I'll send you the link. You can find it on my IG. The link is in my bio. The link is on my Facebook bio.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
As it should.
The price point is, I have a promo code from now until next Friday that I'll share with you as well. And it's like around $50 for the whole week. And some of these speakers, you know, they're like thousands of dollars worth of just having them as like as a keynote speaker. So having access to this kind of expertise, professional, like comprehensive experience, especially during this time where it's so critical. You know, even if your kid isn't an athlete, but you want them to stay healthy, you want them to get off the screen and just like do a yoga class and talk about some healthy things with nutrition. Like, come, you're welcome. Please join.
Now, can you do an a la carte or a day session or a couple day session too?
Yes, absolutely. So I wanted it to be a low barrier for people to, you know, if they think that, you know, we're going to be gone, we're camping or something, you know. So you can find a particular day if there's a specific interest. If you only want to join for yoga, if you only want to join for speed agility, the days are lined out so that you know what the agenda is, you know who the speakers are, and how to do a la carte if you'd like that. But definitely the best deal is the full week.
Got you. I mean, $50 for full week. All the speakers, like you said, these are essentially like what a professional athlete would have, their access, and you're getting it for $50 over a 5-day session. And then are you going to like record I would imagine, are you going to record the sessions, and how is that going to work?
Yeah, so they'll be recorded. For those that purchase tickets, they'll get the recording. So you have an evergreen workout. You have an opportunity to have that available to you. And
Yeah.
yeah, I am excited about pivoting into future. I'm curious what the feedback will be, what kids are more interested in. And so, yeah, it's good.
Well, man, I love it. I love you. It's super exciting. I'm happy to see you doing it. I'm happy for you to come on and be a part of what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, you're pivoting too, right? Like
I said I'm like pivoting the pivot. So the interesting thing for me, I feel like my entire career has been a pivot. And I say that because when I came in as a stylist, I always knew I wasn't going to be a stylist long term. Like I came in, and I think part of the reason people have been like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, yo, because I had a vision of where I wanted to go. Yeah. And so for me, this was always going to be a part of, branding, luxury lifestyle branding. And again, as you gather these skill sets and figure out your talents and areas that you can, kind of expand in, you kind of morph and change and, adapt. And I think that's the one thing that's great is as you said earlier, like I say yes till I have to say no, as long as I know that it's in alignment with where I'm trying to go. And so, yeah, I pivoted a little bit, but really this is something I was going to be doing anyway. For me, it's now more or less, it's more the sequence of events. Like I was going to be doing a branding university. Now I'm doing it first. And the events that I was going to focus on this year will be pushed back till 2022. So it's just, juggling. But, we make it happen. So what do you want to leave the people with? Let them know where they can find you. I have it on the screen. You guys, this is her IG. You're on Facebook. Where else are you at? And then they can find all the information, and I'll put it all of that. But what do you want to leave the people with on this Friday in the P?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Crazy. I would say, if you're an entrepreneur, I would just say, take the risk, follow things that you're passionate about. Don't kind of like sleep on things that excite you. You don't realize what a gift that is. And also it's a process. I didn't just jump into working with NBA players. I started with those third graders. And so understand that things take time. Yes. So, but where you can find me, I would say social media. So Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. If anyone is interested in seeing me as a patient in the state of Oregon, I do work at To Be Well Clinic, and there's a clinic based in Lake Oswego as well as downtown Portland in the Pearl. And I love collaboration. So if there's things that you're passionate about that you want to connect that makes sense, I'd love to do that.
Yes, I know you've met a couple people I know, and you guys stayed in contact. And then the summit, the 27th through the 31st.
Yes.
$50 for the whole session right now. And now when is that special price end? When can they?
Next Friday.
Okay.
We have 1 week, and I'll share the promo code. It's NSM, so Natural Sports Medicine 20, and it's 20% off.
There you go. So parents, if you're watching this, business people that are watching this, and your kids are killing you, do this, sign them up. This is a win-win. This is a win. Look, for kids that are athletes that are bored, they get to do something. For the parents of the kids that are pulling their hair out, you now have something for them to do for an entire week, and you can get some work done. So everybody wins. I appreciate you, Dr. B.
Yes,
and I will absolutely, and I will be in touch soon.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
All right, enjoy your day.
You too.